Today's reading is Matthew chapter 5, verse 43 to the end. The rain falls on the just and the unjust, said Jesus. Do you ever pray about the weather? I must admit, I do, although at the same time I realise it's an odd thing to do. If we had been able to hold the family fun day that we planned as part of our 900th celebrations, it would have been last Saturday, and I'm sure I would have been praying very hard for fine weather. But of course someone else, perhaps a farmer, might well have been praying for rain at the same time, and with at least as much reason. Clergy do get blamed for the weather, even if in jest. Funeral directors are wont to point out, as we stand in a downpour around a grave, that we have only ourselves to blame. Not enough prayers, they say to us. Actually, in my ministry, I don't remember really awful weather during a burial, although there was once a violent thunder and lightning storm during a funeral that I took in church. The electricity went down. Luckily, the family thought the deceased would have been amused as he went in for practical jokes, so no bad omens were feared. Today is recognised in England as St. Swithin's Day and is associated by popular legend with the weather. Traditionally, the weather on this day is supposed to hold for the next 40 days. So take note and see if it works. Swithin lived in the 9th century in Wessex, an important and large Anglo-Saxon kingdom, and he was appointed Bishop of Winchester by the King of Wessex, Ethelwulf. This was an influential and important position. He was a clever and learned man, a teacher and evangelist. He died in 862 and was buried in a grave outside his church at his request. But later on, some years later, he was disinterred and reinterred in the new Cathedral of Winchester in a special shrine, accompanied by great storms. I bet that's not the weather they prayed for on that day. The dramatic weather was seen as a sign of his great spiritual power, and there were stories of miracles as well. Hence the legend of the weather of St. Swithin's Day continuing for 40 days. Well, with today's meteorologists, the best prophets of the weather are the Met Office, and we get remarkably accurate forward pictures of the coming weather. Of course, we still complain about it, as if the weather was somehow duty-bound to favour our particular choice of activity or mood. I wonder what Swithin would make of climate change and of the scientifically proven connection to human activity. We know now that we do actually, to some extent, influence the weather, not through our prayers, but through our whole lives, through the whole human race. Perhaps, after all, we do have only ourselves to blame.